and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are going to be hearing from our president, Joan Laporta, who spoke directly to us fans, to the socios and to the media in today's press conference. And I have to say, what you are going to hear is a man who is very transparent, who is open about his plans for the club. He wants to share that with us. And today he spoke about a number of really pressing topics, from Ronald Koeman's future to Lionel Messi's future, signings, departures, the Super League, and indeed the club's precarious financial position as a result of the previous management. It is all coming up for you today, so sit back and relax, because these quotes, they give some fascinating insights. Let's get to it. Because indeed, straight from the off there, Joan Laporta said, we called this press conference because we feel that we need to explain ourselves. He said to the socios, the fans, and to the media, I want to explain our roadmap in the short term and in the long term and transmit exactly what we are planning. He said, we arrived halfway through the season. He said, we've taken over and now we're finishing a project which we feel hasn't worked. Talking there about Bartomeo's so-called project when he was in charge of the club. Laporta said, and now we are starting our own project, which we are convinced is going to give a lot of joy to Barça fans. He said, right now, we're working very hard. Laporta then went on to outline each one of the pressing topics, starting there with the future of Ronald Koeman. He said, I want to give you an update here on our plans for the coach. He said, in football, we know that there are no transitional projects. They're hitting out and saying, look, there is no transition. At Barça, Laporta has said it before, there is no transitional seasons. He said, we've always said that given that we arrived halfway through the season, a decision on the coach would be made only at the end of the season, and it will be based on results. He said, we have maximum respect for Ronald Koeman. He said, actually, we admire him. He said, he's the player, let's not forget, who won us our first European Cup. And he said, of course, he's still got a contract in place, but we do not believe in transitional seasons. Laporta repeating himself there. He said, and so we will continue to talk. And later on then, in that press conference, Laporta actually took a number of questions from the media, and it was interesting because he was asked directly there by a Dutch journalist, is it true that you told Koeman that you are looking to find another coach right now, and that he would only stay if you fail to find a replacement? And if that happens, do you feel that you will still have his trust? Now, Laporta to that question only answered with two words. He said, yes. Yes. Now, what we can read into that is quite cryptic because a number of sort of mini questions there were asked in that one. But straight after that answer, Laporta then said, I have a wonderful relationship with Koeman. He said, I've got great respect for him. He said, we talk openly together. We've got a good relationship. He said, he has a contract and we hope that we can reach a suitable agreement for everyone. And I just think here, listening to Laporta's words about the season a few weeks ago, he said that it wasn't good enough what we saw in the Champions League and in the league. Now he's saying we don't have transitional years. That is not a word that enters our vocabulary. And saying there that he hopes to find an agreement with Koeman, I still believe he could definitely be on his way out. And Laporta was then asked, is Pep Guardiola your dream appointment? We've heard a lot in the media about Pep Guardiola and a possible return to Barcelona. But Laporta, he did play that down. He said, I'm not here to talk about dreams. I'm here to talk about realities. He said, when we talk about Guardiola, the only thing that comes into my head right now is that I hope he can win the Champions League this weekend. He said, he is a great friend of mine. Another pressing topic, of course, is the future of Lionel Messi. Laporta said, with regards to Messi, we know there's a lot of expectation surrounding his continuation at the club. He said the new contract is going well. He said talks are progressing nicely, but he said it's not done yet. It's not 100% completed. He said we're working really hard to give him a good proposal that's within our means. He said our relationship is very good. Messi loves Barca, and of course we all want him to continue. And once again, he did take questions there on the future of Messi. One of the questions I thought was absolutely brilliant because Laporta was asked, what has changed since Messi sent the burofax there back in 2020? You know, what's changed to say that suddenly now Messi is going to want to stay? Laporta simply replied, well, I'm the president now. From there, Laporta then went on to talk about the disappointments at the end of this season and indeed what's going to change in the summer. What are the board going to do in order here to turn this team around and get us back on the right track? And I have to say, this is one of my favourite quotes here from Joan Laporta. He said, what cannot happen is what has happened in the recent years. He said, when we've lost as a team and then the club has just waited and then nothing has happened. He said, with me as president, he said, losing will have consequences. We ended the season badly, and as a result of that, there will be consequences. He said, our mission is to improve the current squad, and next week, you will see new arrivals to the team. And I did like that there from Laporta to acknowledge that in the past, things haven't been good. Because indeed, we've lost, we've had disappointments, we've had embarrassments, and time after time after time, we've all said it of Bartomeu and his board. What are you doing? Why are you not trying to inflict here change on this squad? With Laporta, I have always said and believed he will make changes, and that is what he's going to try and do, and he's trying to put in place as we speak. Laporta was then asked, indeed, unsurprisingly, about the Super League. He said another topic is the Super League. He said when we arrived, it was already a project that was very advanced, it was very far along, even when we got here. He said at the time there were 11 clubs that had decided to start a new competition, and he said for Barça, it was important to be involved, not to be standing on the sidelines when change could have happened in football. He said, but we only reserved our place. He was very, very keen there to say, look, we just reserved our place in the Super League. He said because the club belongs to the members and they will always be the ones who decide on the final decision. He said football needs to be sustainable. He said right now big clubs are going through a lot of problems, and he said the smaller clubs too. He said there is a lot of losses right now in football, a lot of big debts. He said we're open to dialogue with UEFA, with FIFA, with La Liga. He said all we're doing is just trying to find solutions. We're trying to find solutions for the problems that the sport as a whole right now has. He said, I've already told Seferin there, the UEFA president, that we don't plan to apologise for our stance. He said, nor do we plan on paying a fine that has no justification. He said, and if they do fine us, we'll go to CAS, to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. He said, and I'm sure that we will win. Laporta went on to say, we want clubs to have more of a say in the decision-making of the federations. He said, for instance, he said, look at the national team games, look at the amount of friendlies, look at the amount of qualification matches that we, as the big clubs especially, we have so many players involved in these games, yet the clubs have no say there in the scheduling, in the competitions, in the quantity of games. Laporta said, all we're trying to do is find solutions. Laporta then went on to discuss the club's financial situation right now. He said, we are currently going through an audit. He said on June the 20th, we will have an assembly with all of the members to discuss our budget and compare it to that of the previous board. Laporta then went on to say there's a lot of things coming out right now in the audit which are concerning and surprising. He said we're going to need to find a way to solve these issues, but we will find a solution. And in doing so, crucially, he said we will be 100% transparent. Finally though, Laporta said, like I've said before, we did join halfway through the season. We've come into the club here with big financial problems as a result there of the previous management. He said it takes time. He said we need to be patient, we can be optimistic, we can look ahead to the future, but we will need time to find these solutions. And that's all I ask right now from the fans and from the media. And I do think, guys, when you're looking at that press conference, and indeed many of the things that Joan Laporta said, it was really nice to see that transparency. I said earlier on social media, when it was under Bartomeu, when we had him as our president, all that we had to do as fans was basically rely on the media. He would leak things to the media. He would sort of find a way to just drip feed the information through his conveyed lanes. So he never actually spoke to us directly. He would do all his talking, not actually face to face, not directly, but through the media. With Laporta, it's a very different story. He is happy there to be a leader, to face up to the difficult questions, to face up there to the questions that we're all asking of the club right now. Today, he addressed those, he spoke about his plans, he spoke about the future, and I do believe that this summer, I've said it all along, we will see change at this club, and next week, signings will be announced. And indeed, guys, please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on everything you have heard today from our president. Do you agree there with Laporta's stance on Ronald Koeman? What do you think there of his words on the Super League? And particularly when it comes to change, are you confident that he is the man to get it done? Let me know all of that down below. I will see you soon, of course, because the videos, they will certainly be continuing. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.